It was the middle of the night. We're out in the deep woods of East Texas in somebody's mobile home. A young woman was staying by my side that I was protecting as 3 drunk men were surrounding us. I didn't know how I was going to get us out of this situation, but let me tell you how I got us in it. You see, it was the greatest time of my life. It was around this time of year, January. I was starting my final semester in college. There's no better time than that. And on top of that, my extremely hot girlfriend was flying in from California to spend the last few days of winter break with me. So I was super excited about that. Her name was Charisse, and she was smoking hot. But what I didn't realize, though, is that when Charisse landed in San Antonio, where I lived at the time, that she would set our relationship on fire. She dumped me. So I had to spend the next couple of days showing around San Antonio all the sights as a friend. Then what made it even worse is we went to school together, and I had to drive her from San Antonio to our campus, which was about a 6-hour drive. Wow, that was fun. So we get in the car together, we take off, we're on our way, and we pass Waco, we turn east, we're heading into northeast Texas, and as we're getting into Corsicana, I realized that it wasn't just Charisse that was smoking hot. I saw smoke coming out of the back of my car in my rearview mirror. I was like, oh my, I better pull over and check this out. So I pull off on the side of the road, and as the momentum of the car stopped, I realized the smoke went from behind my car to in front of my car, and it was coming out from underneath the hood. I get out of the car, I pop the hood, open it up, smoke billows in my face and rises up into the sky. I step back, and I'm just going, oh, what am I going to do? What a mess. And this is like, I'm old. There was no cell phones. There was also no Spotify. Man, that really made a lot of awkward moments in the car. Then I look down at my engine, and I see a fire ignite. And I reach my head down, I blow it out. But it was like one of those trick party candles, and it just kept reigniting. So I'd blow it out again. And he's nodding over here. He's like, yeah, I've seen your car. And it just kept reigniting and reigniting. I kept blowing it out and blowing it out. Finally, it stopped. And I knew that I had to tell Charisse the bad news. And so I look around the hood of my car, and Charisse is gone. Where did she go? I'm looking around, and I realize that she's behind my car. And I did say earlier that she was smoking hot, right? It didn't take any time at all for a guy to pull over and walked up and was trying to offer her help. He didn't see me. I was behind the hood and in smoke myself. So I walk around the back of the car. I surprise the guy, and he looks at me, and I introduce myself. Then he decides to introduce himself too, as he leans into me, and he goes, my friends call me Dragonslayer. So Dragonslayer, he realized in our situation that we were pretty screwed. We were in Corsicana on a Sunday afternoon. Nothing would be open. So he just goes, you guys need to come home with me. I was like, no, there's going to be no secondary locations with Dragonslayer. But he insisted. And I kept saying, no, we're good. We'll figure it out. Then he says, look, my grandma is in the car, and I'll prove it to you. So he parked kind of far away. Couldn't really see because of the glare of who was in the car, but obviously someone else was in there. It could have been some other thug. I don't know. But we decided we're going to go and check out to see who's in this car with him. So we start walking to the car, and Dragonslayer's right up on my ass. And I just keep looking back to make sure he doesn't pull a knife or something. We get to the car, and sure enough, there's this nice lady in the car. She rolls down her window and introduces herself as Ida. Ida was a very sweet grandmother, and very quickly she said, you two kids need to get in my car and come to my house. Dragonslayer is just fine. You guys will be just fine at my house. So we grab a couple of things, we hop in Ida's car, the Dragonslayer is driving, And it's pretty obvious that Dragonslayer has all the respect in the world for Grandma Ida, because he just kept saying, yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am. It was so kind to his grandmother. We get to Ida's house. She makes us a sandwich. We have some dinner. And then she retires to her room, and we really don't see her again. And this was time for Dragonslayer to come out and play. He comes out to the living room. He's looking at me and goes, hey, man, you like to party? And I do like to party. And I'm like, yeah, what do you have in mind? And he goes, let's just get out of the house. It's boring here. Let's go out tonight and have a little bit of fun. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds great. So I look at Charisse, and I talk her into going out and partying with Dragonslayer, of course. And so we go and hop in Grandma Ida's car. We take off. And I'm thinking we're going to go to some bar around the corner. But no, he left off that detail. We drive out in the country where it's pitch black. There's no lights out there. It's a fully cloudy sky. There's no stars. There's no moon. It is so dark you can't see a thing. Next thing I know, we're pulling into this driveway with a gate closed out in the middle of nowhere. And he stops the car. He turns around and he looks at me in the back seat and he goes, hey, man, you got to open the gate. He's nodding again. I didn't want to get out of the car, but I did. But I left the car door open, hoping that he wouldn't drive away with the car door open. He probably could have, but he didn't. I opened the gate. We go through. Now we're on this long driveway. I can't even see a house. It is just so dark out there. And eventually, as we're going down this driveway, I see a silhouette of a mobile home and a silhouette of all the trash piles around it, and also a huge radio antenna right in front of the mobile home. We pull up to the house. We're walking up to the door. Before we get to the door swings open, and there's two of Dragonslayer's friends there that greets us, immediately hands us the drinks. They've clearly have been pre-gamed for quite some time now because they're pretty lit. And immediately they try to separate me and Charisse. But Charisse, she was no dummy. She stayed really close to me. And the guys were like, hey, you got to come check out the radio room. So I got to check out the radio room. And it's like this makeshift walk-in closet had been converted into this room with all these CB radios. And they go, in here, in their own words, we can fuck with any truck driver in the country. Now, that was their big entertainment in wherever that place was outside of Corsicana. And as the night continued, they just got drunker and drunker and drunker. And I realized at some point they were looking Charisse up and down so hard that it made me feel naked. And so I lean over quietly to Charisse and I said, hey, are you ready to go? She goes, I've been ready. So I stand up and I said, hey, Dragonslayer, we're ready to go. And he goes, hey, man, I've been drinking. We're not going anywhere. And then his buddies circle around us. Then I knew that we were in trouble. There was a long pause as I was trying to figure out how am I going to get us out of this mess. But I did remember that he's not just Dragonslayer, he's Ida's Dragonslayer. And so I said, Dragonslayer, you know what? If we don't get home tonight, Ida's going to be really disappointed in you. That's how we got home that night. Thank you, everybody.